आदित्य स्टार्ट कर दें?
एक मिनट
Please start the session.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, we can start.
A very warm welcome to each one of you present here.
मैम आप अब अपनी आवाज़ थोड़ी वो और ज़्यादा कर लीजिए, आपकी आवाज़ थोड़ी कम आ रही है।
Yes, sure. Is it audible now?
It is audible.
मैम थोड़ी सी कम है।
Audible now?
यस मैम।
A very warm welcome to each one of you present here. We welcome you to yet another session of MLNC Youth Leadership Summit 2020. We are beyond glad and honored to have one of the co-authors of the book, The Heartfulness Way, Joshua Pollock, as our guest speaker today. Sir is a heartfulness trainer and practitioner from the United States. An accomplished Western classical violinist, he has performed and taught throughout the world, including multiple collaborations with composer A.R. Rahman. Sir is a dedicated spiritual aspirant and is enthusiastic about sharing his passion for meditation. He has lectured and conducted seminars at companies and institutions including Amazon, Google, Microsoft, the World Bank, the New York Times, and the United Nations headquarters. He has also been featured in prominent media such as ABC, NBC, and CBS televisions in the United States. Sir holds a Bachelor's of Musical Art degree from Indian University and two Master's degree from Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London. Sir is currently residing in India with his family. Thank you for joining us today, sir. I request everyone to please mute their audios to avoid the disturbance, and I would also request the audience not to write anything in the chat box except the questions you want to ask to the speaker during the time of the interactive session. I now welcome Sir to speak on our today's topic, that is need of spirituality to curb the ills of youth. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you to everybody who's here. Thanks to the organizers of the Youth Leadership Summit for their warm invitation to me. I'm happy to spend this time with you. So, as you just heard, I was asked to speak about the ills of youth and how spirituality can help us avoid them. I mentioned this to a friend of mine, actually, and my friend said, "Good luck with that." So, so this morning, actually, I was, I have two kids, okay? I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And this morning, I observed my 4-year-old son. He was walking around like this. So I thought, oh, he's got something in his hands. I said, "Show me, what is it?" And he opens his hands, and it's some kind of little insect, like a beetle or something like that, that he's found somewhere. He's caught it, and he's walking along with it. And I thought, I wouldn't want to be an insect in the hands of a 4-year-old boy. You wouldn't want to be in that situation, right? Defenseless little thing in the hands of, kind of a caveman. 4-year-old kids, they're like cave people. So all of a sudden it occurred to me, because I knew I was going to be speaking to you today. And all of a sudden it occurred to me that actually college age students are in a very similar situation. Of course, nobody's holding beetles in their hands anymore, right? Of course. But you are holding some poor, defenseless little thing in your hands. And that's your future self, actually. It's your future self, because it's absolutely powerless. It is absolutely depending upon what you do today. Your future self. Absolutely powerless. Depends on you. Depends on your actions today, tomorrow, the next day. What you're going to become in, 10 years, 20 years, right? Because the decisions that you make today, of course, become your reality tomorrow. Of course, we all know this, but it doesn't mean we quite get it. I was reading something once, just trying to educate myself a little bit about quantum mechanics. I didn't really succeed, but I picked up a few ideas. And one of them, there's something very interesting called the Copenhagen interpretation. Maybe some of you are familiar with this concept, but basically, basic idea of this is that a system, okay, a system doesn't have any definite properties until it's measured, okay? Until it's measured, this system, it's going to just be so many possibilities, okay? Nothing definite, it's just possibilities, maybe infinite possibilities. But then the minute it's measured, it collapses from this waveform into a point. And then it becomes a definite, measurable reality, okay? And I think that's how it feels as you grow older and older and older in life, right? Because at some point, you felt that you had so many possibilities. And all of a sudden, you know, you can be this, you can have that career, you can marry this person, you can so many things, you can live in this place. And then all of a sudden you look back and all of those possibilities have now collapsed into a point. It's from many possibilities, it's collapsed into one reality. Right? And you say, where did that happen? What happened to me, right? Some people are happy, but a lot of people think, what happened to me? So there's you've probably heard this quote. There's a very famous quote out there. I think it's Stephen Covey. Says, I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions, right? Product of decisions, or maybe it was choices. You say, I don't remember making any decisions. Somehow everything just happened and things ended up the way they are. Well, okay, exactly. That's the problem. When you don't make a decision, then life just happens, and then actually you are a victim of your circumstances, see? So, and with circumstances or things, there's no consciousness deciding. Things are just randomly happening. Now you can say you believe in God. Fine, you believe in God, somebody's guiding you, but then in that case, you should understand that God's also given you a mind with which to make decisions for yourself, right? So unless we consciously take a decision, make choices, then things will just happen and we probably won't be happy with that result. So now it comes this issue of how to make a decision, how to make a right decision versus a decision we won't be happy with later on in our lives. Because that's when we're going to experience or taste the effects of today's decisions later in life. So often we make wrong decisions and we suffer later on. Now, what are these ills of youth? I'm not here to tell you to study or, all of the things that people tell you, which are the ills of youth. Sex, drugs, alcohol, not studying, not taking life seriously. I'm not here to talk to you about those things. That all falls under one larger category, which is decision-making, which is good judgment, okay? Problem is when you're about, in your early 20s, late teens, early 20s, a lot of us are not used to making our own decisions because we have had family members, teachers, society in general, trying to enforce our decisions upon us. They've been saying, do this, do that. And now suddenly we're expected to make our own decisions and have them be wise decisions, though we've only been used to obeying other people. So that's one issue. But then again, when we're talking about our parents, we have to understand that they do have some wisdom. Wisdom does come with age. We generally think that, we often don't agree with our parents, when they tell us something. Reason we don't agree with them is because we look at their own lives. We look at their lives and we think, look what happened to them. Are they really happy? So what kind of wisdom do they have if they've ended up like this? But the thing is, it's precisely because that they've failed, that they've developed this wisdom. That's why you develop wisdom, because you make mistakes and you fail. So you want to see people you love end up a little better than you. So you give them advice. And because you love them and you're worried about them, you really try to enforce these things on them, but it just drives away your kids and it doesn't work actually. So this game keeps going on generation after generation, and it's still happening now, and we must have been around for 1 million years so far. So we haven't learned this yet. So therefore, adults, they get frustrated with us when we're young. You know, they get frustrated and they say, they have this expression that youth is, what do they say? Youth is wasted on the young. That's what they say, right? And they say that because now that they have some wisdom, they can't act on it in their own lives because they don't have time, right? They don't have enough time. They don't have enough energy because, you know, give it until age 35 or 40 and your energy levels will start going down. And of course, they don't have possibilities because everything has become fixed. You know, the responsibilities you have when you're 20, the responsibilities that last a month, you have a, you know, 6 months, you have an exam to study for in like 3 months from now. So you have a responsibility between now and then to study for the exam. It's a short period of time. The responsibilities that you have when you're older, it's like raise a child until they're 18. It's years. You know, it's things like that. Pay off a house, all these things like that. So they don't have the time. Their life has become fixed to change things. So we do, I'm not we, I'm older than you. So I'll say you. I think of myself as young. You know, the youth, they have time, they have possibilities, they have energy. So now the crucial ingredient becomes the wisdom. With that, then you can do anything. Time plus energy plus possibilities plus wisdom, then you're really in a good position, winning position, right? So now we come to the importance of decision making, yet again. So why is it? I wish I could ask people, but we don't really have time. If I were with you personally, I'd ask for a show of hands. I'd say, why do you think that we make bad decisions or decisions that we regret later, right? And okay, so why does that happen? There's some, I think all of you know why. There are a number of reasons. One is fear. Okay, fear of failure. That means lack of courage. So lack of courage. Fear of what other people are going to say and do. Your parents, your teachers, your friends. Okay. Another reason sometimes you make a bad decision is anger. You get so charged up and you do something you regret. You say something you regret. Or you do worse and then you end up in prison for 20 years. Hopefully not. Okay, anger. Ego is a big reason you take wrong decisions. I take a wrong decision because I want to prove myself, because I'm feeling insecure about who I am, because I want to compete with somebody else, right? In 20 years, that person I'm competing with, they won't be there anymore, but I'll be there. Okay, ego is one reason. Lack of mental clarity. You haven't analyzed things properly, right? Lack of focus means getting distracted so much that you can't see through the thought process till its conclusion. It's nothing to do with lack of intelligence. You just get distracted. Okay. Finally, there's another big one, which is strong desire. That means I have 5 or 6 options, perhaps, okay? But out of those 5 or 6 options, I'm obsessed with one of them. And I don't even consider the other 4 or 5. I'm just so intoxicated by this one idea that I'm not thinking straight. I'm not thinking clearly. Intense desire. And I keep entertaining this desire by thinking of it over and over again. So it just keeps building and getting stronger. So that's another reason that I get misled. All these things, like what they all have in common is nobody else is misleading me here. I'm misleading myself. I'm getting myself into these situations. So I'm the one who's responsible for my good decisions, or I'm responsible for my bad decisions. Okay. So what you have to know, what I just want you to remember more than anything else, is that this time, okay, this brief time, when you're late teens, early 20s, is the time when you have all of the power, the most power that you're ever going to have in life. Okay? There's never a time will come like now. You may think, oh, I don't have anything yet. I ride a bicycle. I can't even afford a scooter. I ride a bicycle. You may think I don't have a job. I don't have any influence. I don't have any say over anything. But now you have the power to make the decisions that are going to get locked in later on. And so you have huge power over yourself and what you're going to become. So know that this is never will a time like this come again. So now it should be a time when you utilize this, okay? That's what I have to share with you, is now the time to utilize this. Now, for me, I meditate. Remember, I was supposed to not just talk about the ills of youth, I was supposed to talk about spirituality. Meditation is something which obviously handles, it helps you to remove these influences from your mind. It removes the lack of focus, it removes the lack of clarity. All of these things, like these evils, like, that are worse than COVID, like intense desire, which mislead you into a decision that isn't the right decision for you. Evils like ego, where you're just competing or trying to prove yourself, so you take a wrong decision because of that. Anger, where you lose control of yourself and do something you regret. Fear, you have lack of courage. These things are all addressed by meditation. And, when we meditate, these things just sort of, all this clamor, all this noise just sort of fades, it recedes into the background a lot. This leaves room for you to listen to the true voice of yourself. True voice of yourself will never mislead you. The deeper voice of the self, of the soul, you can say. That's something that we can actually access and we can actually hear. And that manifests, we call it also the voice of the heart. The voice of the heart. People mistake this terminology. They say voice of the heart, they think, oh, heart's desire. They think that means desire. It doesn't mean desire. It means the voice of your soul, right? And your heart knows what you should do. Your soul does. Your heart knows what you shouldn't do. And the way that it communicates in a very subtle way, but you can clearly feel it. See, it communicates through feeling. The heart is all about feeling, isn't it? Heart is about feeling. So when it talks to you, the heart communicates through feeling. Once I had a big life decision, huge life decision to take, and I didn't know what to do. I meditate, heartfulness meditation. So there are sometimes you go to a trainer, these volunteer trainers. So I went to see my trainer. This was about 10 years ago in Chennai. So I went to see my trainer, and he told me, let's meditate together. After this meditation is finished, you'll know what to do. And you'll know, because that you should either go ahead with it or not. Because if you get any negative feeling in your heart about this, then you'll know not to do it. So this heart speaks, it has two answers. It says yes and it says no. It doesn't give you any complex answers. It says yes or no. And it tells you no in the form of restlessness. You're very uncomfortable with this idea. You're very uncomfortable with this decision. You're very uncomfortable with this person in your life, right? When you feel that discomfort around a person, move away from that person. Whereas if you feel a lot of peace around this person, know that that's good company, right? If you meditate over some possibility, a move in your life or a career path in your life, and you feel a lot of peace, it's a good sign. But if on the other hand, you feel a lot of restlessness and discomfort, and somehow that this doesn't jive with you, who you are at a very basic level, the heart has told you no. When the heart tells you no, even if it seems intellectually like a good idea now, 10 years later, you'll realize why it said no. So that can save you a lot of time. Suppose you spend 10 years following some useless project, right? And then 10 years later, the whole thing, you say, oh, I was barking up the wrong tree the whole time. I wasted 10 years of my life. But if I'd listened to my heart when it told me the first time, then I would have done something better. So the heart always knows. Meditation is a way to clear up all the noise. It teaches you to listen to your heart. You get the answers. This helps you make decisions. You become clearly able to discriminate between what is good for me, what is bad for me, right? Yes and no, useless and useful. And what does that mean? It means I have wisdom. That's why they say meditation gives you wisdom. So you become very clear. And then based on that clarity, you can just cut things that are not useful and go in a better direction, right? So this is what I want to share. I want to suggest meditation not in place of analysis, right? But I want to suggest this and recommend it as a support, something which will support clear thinking, something which will support overcoming all of these other reasons that we get misled, something that'll therefore help you make better decisions in life and lead you to a better outcome. And now I believe that I have a little time. I hope you don't mind. Can I lead you through a small, short meditation session? Okay, thumbs up, anyone?
Sure, sir.
Yes,
Sure,
sir.
sir.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. So this is something which I've been practicing for about 18 years, and it served me well. Now,
Excuse me, sir. Can we take a question up round before it?
oh yeah, sure. We can take one or two, and then afterwards maybe we can take.
Yes, sir.
पहले
Yes.
मेडिटेशन ओके चलिए हाँ जी पहले क्वेश्चन आंसर पहले मेडिटेशन हो जाएगा 5 मिनट के लिए फिर से क्वेश्चन आंसर राउंड स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं
So it's up to you, sir. Shall we have the meditation first, and then shall we go to the question answer round, or shall we first do the question answers?
Why don't we do meditation first?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I see in this chat box one question there already.
Yes, sir.
It says, can I just repeat that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
How negative thoughts can be controlled? Basically, how to stop overthinking. Okay, so meditation regulates the mind. What you're talking about is a mind that's like wild horses or something with a car without any brakes, right? So what we're talking about is this mind, which is either something which helps us in life or becomes our downfall. We have to be able to learn to regulate that so it becomes an instrument which serves us. That's what meditation does. So meditate. That's the answer to that question. Okay.
Okay, sir. So you have this was this was very thought-provoking lecture of yours, and I've been following your blogs for for a few months now. So I had a thought, sir, while listening to all of this, and coming from a very religious family, and coming from and reading philosophy for a long time. So I had a question in my mind. Like Socrates said a line: "An unexamined life is not worth living." So what is your take on that?
Well, unexamined life is not worth living. I generally think that is a sentiment of a person who has lived an unexamined life. So that's a person who could have introspected along the way, and they didn't. And at the end of their life, when they're so filled with regrets, they are finally introspecting and realizing that the reason that they've come to this end is that they didn't examine any of their actions or thoughts or plans or anything along the way. And now they're miserable, feeling guilty. And so they say, my life is not worth living, has not been worth living. And this is the reason why it hasn't been. That's my take on that statement.
Thank you, sir.
That's a sad statement, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. This was very good answer of yours. And we have Akarsh Gupta here. He is a third-year student of MLNC, Motilal Nehru College. So he has been practicing heartfulness meditation since 2016.
Wonderful.
And he would like to ask you a few questions.
Please.
Namaste, sir. So it's been a pleasure to meet you. And I'm reading all the books that you have written on it. It's like a pleasure for all of us to have you here. Sir, before the meditation session, can you, sir, just tell us more about the heartfulness way and how it is different from the other meditations?
Can somebody just tell me how much time do we have left total in this session?
We have 15 to 20 minutes, sir.
15 to 20
25 minutes, yes, sir.
15 to 20.
15 to 20 minutes we have?
20 to 25.
20 minutes.
We can go 20,
25
20, sir.
Yes,
Got it. Okay. I just wanted to say first, there is one story, and I'm trying to see, I don't know the whole, you probably will know this story better than I do, but I've seen this one question, says from Aditi, says, we are all well aware the fact that a bunch of youth is deeply engrossed in doing heinous crimes, and they're also fond of indulging in consuming alcohol and stuff. So how can meditation and spirituality be an aid to such people and help them to get out of this bad habit and toxicity? We should never write off anybody. Okay, that's what I have to say. There's a famous story, yet I don't know the whole thing, in a mythological story about Valmiki, a great sage, Valmiki, right? And I don't need to go into his whole life story, but remember how he began. He began as a bandit, right? A thief. And only later, as a result of exposure to good people who saw the good in him, and also to working on himself through meditation and serious meditation, because his name means like anthill or something, right? Because he sat and meditated till all the ants built an anthill around him, right? And then, of course, he becomes a legendary rishi, right? So that transformation story. So let us understand that people who are engaged in doing things like this and all kinds of things, there's also the same Atma within them. And they're also looking for the same goal as we are, though unconsciously. And everybody can be brought around to the right path, meaning resonating with their true aspiration. Okay? But if we reinforce the wickedness by judging them and treating them as if they're very bad, then it won't help. So it actually starts with our intention when interacting with them, I think. Okay. Now I've been asked to speak briefly about I'm going to be very brief. Heartfulness meditation is a form of, it's yoga, it's Raja Yoga. We did no asanas or anything, but it's meditation and a few other practices. And it basically has like medicine can be curative or preventative. This also is both curative and preventative, right? It's curative because all of the mess that I've made of myself through so many emotions and actions and so many things that I've done, I can actually remove the sort of scars that I've developed by going through this battlefield of life. I can remove the emotional burdens and, so many, the emotional scars, I would say, and residue that I carry from so many interactions. I can remove that through myself, through a practice we have called cleaning, right? Where you remove all this emotional burden, which incidentally conditions you into future behavior, right? You've broken up with somebody, that conditions your worldview, right? About the opposite sex, perhaps. Or perhaps, that's just one example. But so many experiences make us see the world in a different way. So we're seeing the world through the filter of our past, right? But if you can remove that conditioning, then you're removing your past. You're actually living in the present and seeing people as they are, seeing things as they actually are. You're more engaged in reality. So that's one thing. We have a practice called cleaning, which does that. And you feel lighter and lighter every day as you remove these burdens. Second thing is meditation, which regulates your mind. So that's a very obvious benefit. Third thing is that here, so many people complain that they have trouble meditating. I also had a lot of trouble meditating when I started. I practiced so many methods. Very soon after trying heartfulness meditation, I found I could meditate very deeply. Maybe not, immediately, but within a few sessions, I could meditate very deeply and was sort of overflowing with peace and things I never experienced when I meditated in any other way. The reason is something we call yogic transmission, which is sort of difficult to explain, but I want to give you it's something that's transmitted from a trainer to the aspirant. And any of our trainers, 14,000 trainers, who impart this free instruction, all over the world, and any of them can impart this yogic transmission. And you can see for yourself what the effect is. And that's what I propose now. We have very little time, so we don't really have enough time for a session. So really, this isn't even a taste of the food, but this is just the smell, the scent of the food, okay? All right, so can we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
For
yes,
sure.
sure.
Okay. Time check, 15 minutes?
Yes, sir, sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
15 minutes. Okay, sir.
Okay, so here we meditate this is not a concentration exercise where you have to focus your mind. Okay, just remove that from this idea. What we're going to do here is you're going to rest your attention on your heart and just have the idea that present in your heart there is light from the source within. Okay, the source within, there's light, and that light is in your heart. It's just an idea. You don't need to, it's not a visualization. You don't need to imagine it. Okay, that you'll experience this light at some point, but not as something you see. You'll experience it through feeling. It'll be a feeling that you have in your heart, because the heart feels, right? So you just put your attention there on your heart, and you relax, and very patiently, you just sort of see what kind of feelings start developing over the course of your meditation. And that's really you do. Just chill out, observe your heart, observe how you feel, and see what happens during that. Now, if thoughts come, you don't fight with them, okay? But you don't entertain them either. Okay? You treat them as if they're an uninvited guest in your house. You don't want them there, but you're not going to throw them out. You just let them be, ignore them. Okay, let them be. Eventually they'll leave on their own if you don't attend to them. Okay. I shall walk you through a brief relaxation, and then I'll say, okay, now let's start meditation. And we'll sit quietly for about 5 minutes, and then I'll tell you when it's finished. So please sit very comfortably, any asana, okay? Any position, you just sit. And close your eyes very gently. Bring your attention to your toes. You can relax your toes and let your whole feet relax. You can even imagine a current of healing energy entering your feet from Mother Earth. And this healing energy relaxes your feet. And gently it moves upward, relaxing your ankles, and relaxing your lower legs. Let your knees relax. Relax your upper legs. Your hips. Relax your waist and your abdominal muscles. And relax all the muscles in your chest. And relax your whole back from top till bottom. And now let your shoulders relax very deeply. Let them feel as if they're melting. Relax your upper arms, tricep muscles, biceps. Relax your elbows and all the muscles in your forearms. Relax your wrists and hands, fingers. You can even feel the energy flowing out from your fingertips. Relax your neck, your throat. Relax your jaws. Relax your mouth. Relax all the muscles of your face. Your eyes and eyeballs, let there be a lot of softness around your eyes. Ears and earlobes. And your whole head, all the way to the crown of your head. Allow your attention to go to your whole body and any place that's in need of further relaxation. Relax that place. And now suggest to yourself that your attention is already centered in your heart. And that light from the source within is already present there in your heart. And this light will automatically draw you inward. Like this, let's meditate. And that's all. You can keep your eyes closed for another moment or so, or you can open them very slowly. But try to remain almost meditating even after you open your eyes. That means maintain the feeling that you have. Stay attuned to in the same way. So that's just a tiny little hint. But I suggest that you really take it up. Okay. What happens now? Are we finished, or is there time for more questions, or what? You tell me. I'm at your disposal.
We actually are running out of time.
Okay.
So I would request our secretary Vanshas Tyagi to come forward and give the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I want to invite my colleague Mohammad Arwaj to say thank you to the sir. Mohammad Arwaj.
Good evening, sir. I am Mohammad Arbaz, Central Counselor of Motilal Nehru College. With due respect, I would like to thank you for your kind arrival at this youth summit of our college. We felt great pleasure to have you among us on this occasion. You took the event to a greater level by your zealous speech to the students. Your presence is inspirational for us. In this regard, we would like to thank you for your presence. We will be looking forward to having more of your presence in the future events. I thank you on the behalf of the college administration and staff. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Now we are ready with our next session. Next session will be starting within 5 minutes. You all are requested to join that session. We are sharing link within some minutes. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoying the
sir.
next session.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
आदित्य
हाँ हेलो
इसको क्लोज कर दो लाइव मीटिंग को इसको मीटिंग्स को क्लोज